begged me to explain why I was throwing away my marriage. She said she raised me better than this, that this was not the boy she knew. From across the room, Tom simply scowled at me, his arms folded and jaw tightened. I let a long breath in. Trying to relax, I got right to explain. I told them I had asked for divorce since Felicia had been disloyal. The room went crazy. Felicia's mother angrily and with disbelief called me a liar. Usually so cool and collected, my dad inquired if I had any evidence. His voice was tight with displeasure. I answered that. For months Felicia and I hadn't been close, hence the timing of the pregnancy didn't make sense. We had been having some problems in our marriage too, and although at the time nothing I considered to be insurmountable. I discussed Felicia's more recent distance, her increased late-night work schedule, and her apparent disinterest in hanging out with me. Tom sprang to Felicia's rescue, accusing me of fabricating excuses and labeling me neurotic. Felicia would never cheat on me, he continued, and I was simply searching for a means of escape from fatherhood. His comments cut like a razor, particularly from someone who had been my best friend for so long. Ever the optimist, my mother offered that perhaps the dates had been entered incorrectly, or that it was a miracle pregnancy. Saying that marriages go through difficult times and that running away wasn't the answer, she urged me to speak with Felicia and work things out. After Felicia's dad had been silent for some time, he inquired whether I had any additional cause to believe Felicia was cheating. Though I wanted to be honest, I hesitated, not wanting to toss charges without evidence. I told them Felicia had lately been more covert with her phone, constantly keeping it face down and answering calls in another room. I remarked how she used to stop telling me specifics about her daily activities, something she did every evening over supper. I told Felicia I should have brought up these issues sooner, but I had been worried about what I would learn. The room broke in half. Some, like the relatives of Tom and Felicia, insisted I was mistaken and Felicia would never cheat. They charged me of allowing my imagination to go wild and of drawing premature judgments. Others, like my sister, softly hinted that perhaps there was more to the tale than we knew. She urged everyone not to make snap judgments either way without knowing Felicia's side of the tale. More specifics emerged as the debate carried on. Tom said that some of the late evenings could be explained by Felicia and his working on a major project together. He claimed they had kept silent since the corporation would find it unexpected. Not because they were covering something nasty. Felicia's mother pointed out that Felicia's insecurity about our relationship lately might help to explain the lack of affection. Felicia had told her about feeling neglected and uncertain about our future, she continued. Nobody knew what to believe by the end of the conference. Though still irate, Felicia's parents appeared less convinced of their daughter's innocence. Between wishing for a reconciliation and supporting me, my parents found themselves divided. They persisted in stating that some sort of solution had to be possible. That divorce ought to be a final choice. Tom was quieter, no longer fiercely defending Felicia but still casting negative stares at me. Tom stayed behind, everyone else departed. He wanted to know whether I truly thought Felicia had chewed. When I replied yes, he seemed disturbed. He said he had observed Felicia behaving oddly recently, but he had written it off as work-related stress, saying that as friends to both of us he wanted to help work things out, so he agreed to chat to her and try to get to the bottom of things. Over the next 3 days, I was in a fog. Part of me hoped that everything could be explained simply and that this was all a great misinterpretation. Still, another side of me knew deep down that something was terribly off. I felt as though I was without a vital component of the jigsaw. At last Felicia agreed to see me yesterday. We convened at a neutral site, a peaceful cafe close by our house. Her dark bags under her eyes and pallor to her face made my heart hurt. She looked tired and depressed. Her eyes revealed, though, a trace of wrath, a hardness I had never seen before. Why did I believe she had cheated, she asked. I clarified her actions, the date of the pregnancy, my motivations, and our distance apart. Her face blank, she listened silently. She then inquired whether there was anything else, any other justification I might have for disbelieving her. I paused, then resolved to be entirely truthful. She had been keeping something from me, I told her. Something that, should I be the father, made the pregnancy unfeasible. Her face became white, and for a moment I assumed she would confess. Rather, She got up and walked away without saying another word, leaving me sitting at the cafe more perplexed than ever. I'm lost right now. Felicia's response helps me to believe that I am correct on the infidelity, but I still lack specific evidence. Our friends and relatives are split. Some support me while others fully back Felicia. Tension and unsaid accusations permeate the air. Although the divorce processes are underway, everything seems to be hanging there. Not able to face returning to our house, I am still living with a colleague. The house that used to stand for our future together now seems contaminated by mistrust and treachery. Felicia's relatives stopped calling to yell at me, but the stillness is nearly worse. It is like the still before a tempest. Though I know I have to tell everyone the truth shortly, I worry about what would happen should I do. Will it clarify things, or will it only make everything worse? Once they discover what I have been hiding, will I lose everyone I love? I'm lost and could need any guidance on how to get on from here. How am I to negotiate the mess I have produced? How can I discover the truth without ruining everyone and everything involved? Update 2. My last update was 1 month ago, and everything has at last surfaced. The truth is out there and even more agonizing than I had thought. I want to thank everyone who helped and advised me, including those who severely criticized me. Both gentle and critical, your words gave me the confidence to confront the reality and tell it to others. Weeks of restless nights and anxiety over what to do had worn on me until it came time to tell everyone the whole truth. I scheduled another meeting featuring Tom for both our families and close friends. This time Felicia decided to visit. There was obvious tension in the room when everyone got to my parents' house. Seldom glancing at each other, people were seated on opposing sides of the room. Me in the defendant's chair, it seemed like a courtroom. I began by owning my lack of total honesty from the outset. I said I handled things poorly and that I had been confused and afraid. I inhaled deeply, then delivered the news. I told them I have been sterile since before Felicia and we married. The room went into shocked quiet. Then everyone began chatting simultaneously, as though a dam had collapsed. Questions, accusations, and comments of incredulity flooded from all directions. Raising my hands to ask for silence, I started to explain. I informed them about how I had discovered my illness not long after graduate school. A regular medical visit found some anomalies, and additional tests proved I was unable to father children. Although I was heartbroken at the time, I hid it from Felicia among others. I was embarrassed and terrified of being judged. I felt that, should they know, nobody would want to be. Raised me to be the kind of man who deserts his family, and started to cry on the phone. Usually looking up to me, my younger sister now avoids talking to me. Most of our shared friends, whom I know of, are helping Felicia, hence they are picking sides. They consider me as the terrible guy, the one destroying a perfect life and endangering a pregnant woman. Tom, my pal best of all, who's known us both since college, is especially irate with me, saying he couldn't believe I would treat Felicia this way. He labeled me as a coward. He confided in me he feels humiliated to be calling me. Tom straying toward the door, his face a mask of remorse and anxiety. Calling out to Tom, I asked whether he had anything to say. He froze, then all the bits came together. Now, the late evenings spent working together, the covert actions, the way he had fiercely defended Felicia, all made sense. The room went still once more, everyone staring at Tom. Through her tears, Felicia verified what everyone else thought. She said that for the past year Tom and she had been having an affair. She said it began as a drunken error following a business function, and then persisted since both of their lives felt lonely and confusing. Felicia then went on to say she had come to hate me for not leave the room to cool off. Shocked and divided between concern for their daughter's future and resentment at her behavior, Felicia's parents, her mother, asked repeatedly how she could throw away her marriage for an affair. Her dad simply sat there, head in hand, looking absolutely defeated. Realizing they had been subtly involved in the lie, our other buddies looked sick. Believing their apologies for late evenings at work or project meetings, some of them had even helped cover for Felicia and Tom. Saying he never meant for things to go this far, Tom tried to apologize. He said he really loved Felicia and that their emotions were true. But his remarks were ignored. I informed him. Our friendship was dead and he had betrayed everyone in the room, not only me. He left the house in shame after a last begging glance at Felicia. Between sobs, Felicia worked to further explain herself. She talked about her yearning to have a child, about the thrill of the affair, and about feeling ignored in our marriage. Convinced that I would never know the truth, she said she had intended to call off things with Tom and raise the baby with me. I listened to her apologies and felt a mix of hurt, resentment, and weirdly relief. At least currently I understood the reality. Felicia's betrayal's weight had taken front stage, replacing the weight of my secret. I told Felicia that although I apologize for hiding my health, it did not excuse her behavior. We were clearly over here, and the divorce would go as scheduled. A lot has evolved in the weeks following that conference. Felicia is not contesting anything, hence the divorce is proceeding fast. She moved out of our house and is lodging with her sister. She and Tom tried to make their relationship work, but the guilt and stigma were too great. Tom has departed from town, not able to deal with the results of his deeds. Our friend circle is split now. Others have selective sides. Others have disengaged from the whole scenario. A few have contacted me to apologize for questioning me if ever such relationships will take time to mend. Felicia's parents have contacted me and said they now know why I behaved the way I did. Their daughter's conduct and the approaching birth of their grandchild under these conditions are difficult for them to process. My family has been my rock. It has helped me cope with the fallout from being clean about my sterility and through this trying period. Regarding me, I'm gradually healing. Though I'm also happy that the truth is out, the betrayal still aches. I started seeing a therapist to help me sort through my emotions and figure out why I had kept my health under wraps for so long. I'm learning to be more honest and open with myself as much as with others. I have also linked with support organizations for those coping with infertility. Hearing others' stories and sharing mine has been quite healing. It has let me see that there are various methods to start a family should I decide to do so in the future, and that my value is not based on my capacity to have biological children. On the sale is the house Felicia and I shared, living there with all. The memories and dashed hopes would be intolerable. I'm seeking for a fresh start somewhere I might start to reconstruct my life. This process has taught me a lot. Value of integrity, the peril of presumptions and the vagaries of life. Keeping secrets, even with good intentions, can have terrible results, as I have discovered. I have also come to appreciate the importance of real friends and family, those who support you even when the world appears to be disintegrating. Though I'm not sure what the future holds, I'm gently hopeful. I feel as though, for the first time in years, I can be my actual self free from the shadow of my secret. I am rediscovering myself apart from my marriage and the character I developed. To all who have helped me through this struggle, I owe thanks. More than you could realize, your compassion and patience have meant. To those who question me, I can see why you may. This reminds us that often a narrative has more than first greets the eye, and to anyone else in a similar circumstance, keep in mind that living a lie is always worse than the truth, no matter how terrible it may be. Though it can seem as though the end of the world is here, I assure you that light exists at the end of the tunnel. Get help, be sincere with others and yourself, and never hesitate to start afresh. My last update on this will be this. I should be closing this chapter of my life and beginning to pen a fresh one. We appreciate all of your listening and support during this trying road. Here's for fresh starts and the hope they accompany. Contagious laugh drew me right away. Soon after, we began dating and stayed together all through college. We both obtained decent jobs in the same city after college and chose to advance our relationship. Our wedding was a modest private gathering, with just our closest friends and relatives. Honeymooning in Hawaii, we spent 2 happy weeks discovering the islands and fantasizing about our future together. While we resolved to wait until we were more established in our professions, we discussed having children someday. Proceed fast forward until now. Felicia is a marketing executive for a worldwide company, while I work as a software engineer for a developing tech company. We paid for a lovely suburban house 2 years ago. When my wife found out she was pregnant, I started a divorce petition. I turned into the evil man to family, but attitudes reversed when I explained the cause of divorce. Though I, 32M, never would have dreamed I would be in this state, here I am opening myself to internet strangers. My 30F wife Felicia sprung a bombshell on me 2 days ago. She is on pregnancy. I felt a tsunami of doubt and pain instead of happiness or enthusiasm. Now I'm seeking divorce, and all around me my life is falling apart. For 5 years Felicia and I have been married. We became together while both volunteers at a nearby animal shelter in our sophomore year of college. Her pure heart and, with a white picket fence, with a large backyard ideal for young children to run about in. From the outside, our lives appeared to be absolutely perfect. Felicia told me she was pregnant on a day I was working from home. I was locked in my home office busily coding away since I had a significant project deadline approaching. Felicia arrived almost shining with enthusiasm about midday. She said, "Honey, we are going to be parents," and handed out a pregnancy test. I recall thinking the room whirled. My heart began to race, and I could hear blood rushing in my ears. Given Felicia's quick fading smile, I have to have appeared startled. When she inquired whether I was good, I ran out of words to say. I struggled to match her excitement, mumbled something about needing time to digest the news, then exited the room. My response perplexed and offended Felicia. She persisted in asking what was wrong, whether I wanted the baby, if there was someone other. I could not explain. I just needed to be alone. For 2 days I was in a trance, hardly eating or sleeping. My brain was racing, attempting to understand the circumstances. Felicia kept blocking her out even though she tried to chat to me multiple times. Though I could see the hurt and uncertainty in her eyes, I couldn't muster myself to say what I was feeling. Yesterday I decided something that will permanently alter our life. I filed for divorce in a legal office. Felicia collapsed totally when I went home and informed her. Why I was doing this eluded her. She urged me to explain, to rethink, but I was unable. Come to tell her the truth, myself. Felicia's family is upset with me right now. Her folks have been phoning incessantly, leaving angry and disbelieving voicemails. They think I'm a coward for not embracing fatherhood's obligations and that I'm callous for divorcing my pregnant wife. Her sister sent me a lengthy text message outlining all the ways I had mistreated Felicia and how I had devastated our family. My own family finds one perplexed and let down. My mother continues to call, inquiring as to whether I'm experiencing some sort of mental collapse or whether another woman exists. Usually so stoic, my dad said he didn't. Friend. I know right now I sound like the worst person on earth. Though I would want to explain everything, I am not ready to divulge the whole truth yet. Though I'm not sure how to inform everyone without aggravating even more suffering, there is a rationale for what I do. For 3 months Felicia and I haven't been close. Both of us have had job-related stress, and we have also been handling some personal problems. Though now I'm wondering whether there is more to it than we were just experiencing a hard patch. Though I find the timing of this pregnancy illogical, I don't want to accuse her of anything without first being sure. I feel abandoned and alone. My family and friends all believe I'm the terrible guy, thus I cannot communicate with them. With me. I observed as I talked the awareness dawn on everyone's faces. Should I fail to conceive, Felicia's pregnancy would only indicate one thing. With her hands tightly closed in her lap, Felicia, who had gone pale and was staring at the floor, drew all attention. First to talk was Felicia's mother. Her voice faltering, she questioned Felicia about whether what I had said was accurate and whether she had indeed been disloyal. Felicia said nothing for a protracted moment. The quiet in the room was intolerable. Then, shockingly to all, she nodded and started crying. The chamber went crazy. Parents of Felicia were in shock. Our pals were stunned. My family was furious. People demanded explanations, were crying, and were yelling. Amid the frenzy, I saw. I cannot attribute them. From their standpoint, I am divorcing my wife when she most needs me. But there is so much more to this narrative they are unaware of. I had always wanted to be a father. She is aware of that. Years of talking about having children have gone by. Last year I even began a college fund for our future offspring. Everyone is thus quite taken aback by my response. They find it incomprehensible why I would be not over the moon about starting a family. The suffering Felicia's eyes show is the toughest thing. She keeps wondering what she'd done wrong and why I now want no more of our baby. Her world is falling apart around her. And I detest that I am the reason it is happening. Still, I also can't get rid of this sense of something not quite right. For now I am staying with a colleague from work. Seeing Felicia cry and ask for answers I'm not ready to offer, I couldn't bear to stay in the same house as her. Though he doesn't know the whole truth, my colleague has been gracious enough to offer somewhere to stay free from undue interrogation. My phone rings and I get nervous every time. Will Felicia's parents be phoning once more to shout at me? Alternatively, my own mother wondering why her kid is behaving like a monster. Or perhaps Tom, all set to criticize me for being a poor friend and husband? I have to come clean soon, too. Everybody engaged will suffer more the longer I wait. But how can I possibly start to explain? I tell the woman I love that I don't think this child is mine. How should I approach my friends and family to explain why I am truly doing this? I am not in search of sympathy. I realize my behavior seems selfish and nasty. I only needed to let this out before I blow. I would value any suggestions on how to manage this problem, or if someone has been in the same circumstance. Is it me the asshole for not celebrating my wife's pregnancy but rather seeking divorce? Create one update. My last post was 1 week ago, hence the circumstances has just gotten more complex. Even those who called me every name in the book, I want to thank. Everyone who invested time to remark and send comments. You were right, I had to own why I responded the way I did. Days after dodging calls and messages, I decided it was time to face the music. Felicia wouldn't see me when I sought to meet with her privately first. Her brother was in our house when I arrived. He made it plain I wasn't welcome, saying Felicia was too offended to talk to me. I should be embarrassed of myself. Realizing I would have to figure another method to handle this, I departed without complaining. I decided to get our families together since I couldn't speak with Felicia personally. To my parents' house I invited Felicia's parents, my parents and a few close friends including Tom. Having everyone together, I reasoned, would help to simplify simultaneous explanations of everything. Felicia declined to come, and considering the situation, I can see why. The mood was tight when everyone assembled. You could slice the tension away. Felicia's father first insisted on knowing what was wrong with me. His face flushed with rage, and I could see he was hardly controlling himself from physically reacting. Tears streaming through her. My mother.